Introducing one of the biggest thorns I found in Wonder Woman's 1984. Now, I'm sure many of you browsing the internet right now have already listened to plenty of content creators and others' takes on this movie, but I'd announce that this video isn't going to be me going into a full movie review to criticize it. This, quite frankly, is me discussing a disappointing aspect I found in this movie, a particular character, in fact, that left a bad impression. But first, I believe it is against principle to not experience this movie for yourself to formulate your own opinions. So if you're a fan of Wonder Woman, DC Comics, or just enjoy superhero stories in general, I encourage you to go out and check out this movie. But this thorn cannot go untouched. Spoiler warnings for those who have not seen this movie, but this is to discuss the atrocity of Wonder Woman's arch nemesis, Cheetah, aka Barbara Minerva. For people that know of Cheetah from DC Comics, I'll tell you now that this is not a good representation of Barbara that you see reflected in this movie. In fact, I believe you'll see a lot of strange parallels this movie tries to get you, the audience, to just chuckle up and agree with without having much context or substance to it. Before it's chalked up to be this clumsy oaf of repetitious, hyperthinking, and lack of self-confidence character. If you take a look at this image alone, it's trying to make you believe that Barbara needs people to help brighten her abysmal presence. But what this movie sometimes forgets is that this woman already has accolades that proves why she should be respected. The people in charge of this organization that Diana and Barbara work for in this movie, let's just list out some circumstances, doesn't even recognize she's there. But mind you, in this plot, one of her bosses approaches her and asks her could she actually help the FBI investigate some strange artifacts from a mall heist that Diana busted down earlier in this film. This movie wants us to think that Barbara is a small speck of importance, but also make us realize that she's necessary. Necessary in the terms that she has great qualities, things to offer for Diana or anybody else if they give her a chance. Now mind you, Barbara's flaws are clearly self-showing and evident, and due to the trailers and news that this character is going to be Cheetah, what would you imagine she would be? Interactions that Barbara has with her boss earlier in this film leads over to where we get the discovery of the Dream Stone, a stone that grants wishes, and in return, that person loses something in importance. This is how a very important character comes back later into the story, and you can imagine that is Steve Trevor, in which Diana, which we can guess already, made some kind of wish to bring him back from the dead. This is a spoiler from Wonder Woman, the first movie. But Barbara, we actually don't know what she wants to wish for. She says there's so many things she doesn't know what she would actually ask for. But we do discover that Diana, at this point, wants to actually give her a chance and hang out with her just to see what more she's like. From the interactions that Diana and Barbara share, Diana sees that Barbara is quite funny, and that she has quite nice qualities to herself, and that in which Barbara kind of compliments her in the same regard. And we see that in general that Barbara has some kind of connection and naturist aspect that she's quite well with other people. There's a particular homeless guy later that walks around and they seem to have known each other in the past, and she doesn't seem to be quite the rude and bashful one. She seems to be, like I said before, somebody that just doesn't want to get in anybody's way, but nobody sees her in the first place. One scene in particular, it's a sleazy, you guessed it, guy that tries to approach Barbara at night in the park, and he makes a lot of inappropriate advances towards her, in which Diana, who mysteriously shows up, shoves this guy like 20 feet away. Barbara's astounded by this feat, in which we see that this scene actually comes back later in the film. But that night when she saw that Diana was just so strong and brave, she just decides to go home and make her actual wish. Her wish was predictably she would like to be like Diana. And from what many people know about in Barbara Minerva's history is that it is not how she becomes Cheetah. In fact, this is how she becomes more so a Diana clone copy where she has all of her powers, and in turn we see that she actually is able to get recognized by other people, and men start to approach her asking if they can do anything for her, other things like that. But we can see that in this case that doesn't seem to be accurately fitting to being like Diana. I mean, how do you actually calculate how somebody can wish to be like Wonder Woman, except for just generally being as powerful? But as far as the looks and the attention, that just seems to come naturally from, you know, if you're a beautiful person or if you're just a nice person in general, which she already was. So you can see how this wish doesn't really feel like it makes sense for her to make. It just seemed like a desperate grab for her to kind of obtain a level of position which she already had. She just never believed in herself. So this is just part of more of a bigger, deeper reasoning to why her character feels like it falls flat on its face. But it's important to bring up that the wish to be like Diana feels rushed. In this movie, you'll discover a lot of pacing issues that feel like you didn't have enough time to understand the situation going on. So while Barbara has all these found talents of Diana, after a few engagements and some rushed pacing, we believe that this seems to be plausible for her to make this wish. Where if you were to ask me if I were to wish to be like someone else and I only met them for the first day, who knows what Diana could have been in a dark underworld story where she could have been this, dangerous criminal. And if she made this wish, she would have looked foolish in making this regard. So this just feels like I said before, she's making some foolish attempts to grab and be like her without even making us, the audience, believe she should make something like that for herself. So as Barbara's life is getting better in all aspects, strangely enough, the downside to her wish is that Barbara starts to disconnect her humanity with her powers. So she becomes more selfish and merciless towards others, especially towards men in this case, in which we see that the same guy that approached her earlier on in the story comes back and tries to whistle at her, in which she defends herself by kicking this guy away, and then brutally stomping and kicking him repeatedly until he looks like he's almost dead. So you can kind of see where the villain side of her is actually showing itself once she gets her powers. And you just see Barbara's character at this point nosediving into this dark path of inhumanity. Her life may have been pathetic as far as confidence, but her accolades and achievements, I don't see why she made the wish in the first place. This is where Maxwell Lord is supposed to be the final link to Cheetah's conversion. You see, Maxwell Lord gets his hands on the Dreamstone, and his wish has become essentially the Dreamstone itself. So he can grant wishes to whoever asks him of one, but in return he can take something back from them. Max and Barbara's connection in this movie has no believable qualities. He's this egomaniac, brass, confident, smug television guy, and she's this gullible, soft-spoken, klutzy female character. Apparently, through discovery of what the stone can actually do, Maxwell tries to grant wishes with the Dreamstone, and if you destroy him, you apparently can renounce any wishes granted to the stone. Barbara, who is against this idea, vows to protect him so that she can remain who she is once she discovers the truth. Diana, who at this point is losing more significant of her power because she made a wish to bring back Steve Trevor. So now we see that one side is more powerful and the other side is more dwindling because of the choices that they made. So this is how you pretty much get the dynamic of rivalness between the two in this movie. But wait, there's still something missing apparently. Cheetah, in this case, who is the main arch nemesis of Wonder Woman, we don't see that in Barbara yet. Barbara just has the power, the speed, and all the other qualities that Diana has, but she doesn't have the look. This is where I don't understand what happened with this film, is that Maxwell Lord, who now is the Dreamstone, was able to grant Barbara another wish, in which Barbara wanted to wish that she could be number one, someone that was above all else, and that she can also become an apex predator, none like any before. But what feels weird is that she made a second wish when only one person is allowed one wish with a stone. But apparently, since this is now Maxwell, she gets an access to a second wish. So you can see that with this wish that she wants now, she wishes to be number one and an apex predator. Barbara's character doesn't seem like anyone who's competing to be number one at anything. An apex predator was just a far-fetched request to give her the final cheetah transformation. There was nothing symbolic about it, except for the obvious cheetah print designs scattered all over this movie, from the shoes, the carpets, the coats. These symbolisms of Cheetah does not make me believe that Barbara wanted to become an apex predator to begin with. She didn't seem like someone that I would understand that has a fixation to cheetahs in the first place. She did say that she was a zoologist, but nowhere in the movie did she dictate that the cheetah was her favorite animal. She didn't describe the animal in any cases, but she at least wore the apparel. This doesn't make me believe that this would make her a cheetah, or they didn't even use no historic lore or fiction to, of course, prove that she should mirror something like this in the beginning. The movie Wonder Woman 1984 cheapened their way into creating Wonder Woman's arch nemesis. If you want to find a movie that actually has time to build upon the nemesis of the main character, or the hero in this case, I suggest you check out an example of Killmonger from Black Panther. We understand that he has goals and intentions on what he intends on doing, and all of it seems to connect to what he becomes later on in the story. But Barbara Minerva? Unbelievable character. You'll come to see in many reviews that they bring her up and show that she hasn't done anything to prove why she should act this way. She's a character at first that I've seen already in many other iterations. She's somebody that doesn't seem to have a grasped hold of her life, and she wants to find a quick shortcut to make it. And I've seen in this movie that they tried to show that this is in her character. She takes a shortcut into power, which is actually a lie. But in regards of if it was a lie or not, this movie didn't help build that up into making us understand why she made these choices and seeing that if she can walk away and become a better person. If you all take a chance to give this movie a try, go ahead and let me know in the comments down if you believe that Cheetah or anything else caused this movie to suffer so much. But this is what I think caused a big letdown in this movie, was how they treated her arch nemesis, and Wonder Woman and Cheetah have a great history with each other in the comics. But I'd love to hear what you all say. Thank you for tuning in to this video, and I'll catch you all next time.